Have you ever been in a situation, maybe you're talking to a friend or uh, a colleague, and you're really trying to connect, trying to understand them, but it just feels like there's this invisible wall, like you're seeing the world completely differently.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of, yeah, a fundamental disconnect.
Right. Or maybe you felt it in yourself, like you're stuck, you're putting in the effort for personal growth, but you still find yourself wondering, what does it really mean to be wise? Beyond just knowing stuff or
Yeah.
having experiences, what does real wisdom actually look like? How do we even build that?
That's such a core question, isn't it? And it's incredibly relatable. It's something thinkers have grappled with forever, ancient philosophers right up to today.
Mhm.
And what they often land on is that wisdom.
Hmm.
Well, it isn't just about collecting knowledge, it's about how that knowledge actually changes you,
Hmm.
how it reframes how you see others, how you interact, and ultimately how it shapes your purpose.
Exactly. That transformation, that sort of deep internal shift, that's precisely what we're diving into today.
Oh.
This is a deep dive into what we're calling the architecture of wisdom. We're going to unpack the pieces,
Yeah.
how different elements, like understanding that we don't all start from the same place in life, or even the really tough practice of forgiveness, how they all fit together, like building blocks.
Ah, I like that. Architecture, building blocks.
Yeah. The aim here is to show this kind of interconnected framework, how you build a life that's genuinely meaningful, impactful, and importantly, empathetic.
And what's really cool about this particular dive is just how varied the sources are. We're pulling from ancient proverbs, Stoic philosophy, Musonius Rufus, Ryan Holiday, even reflections from Tolstoy,
Wow, quite a mix.
right? Plus some really practical stuff on friendship, coaching, helping people effectively. The amazing thing is, even though they're diverse, the insights, they're surprisingly cohesive. They point towards a really unified vision of how you cultivate wisdom.
So our mission today is, well, simple, but also kind of ambitious. We want to pull out the absolute core insights from all this, the real nuggets. We want to give you listening not just more information, but clear, actionable ideas. Things that help you not just know more, but actually grow wiser, become more empathetic, live with, more purpose and fulfillment.
So less about theory, more about building.
Exactly. Think of it like a practical blueprint, a guide to building a wise and resilient life. So, ready to lay that first foundation stone?
Let's do it. So the foundation, the absolute bedrock. It starts with understanding that wisdom isn't some destination you arrive at, like check, done.
Right, not a final state.
No, it's dynamic. It's always evolving.
Yeah.
And it's rooted in becoming more teachable. And crucially, you have to start by acknowledging really humbly that we don't all begin life's journey from the same starting line.
That feels like a really important, maybe overlooked point.
It is. We all enter the race, so to speak, with different advantages, different hurdles, different levels of, just inherent preparation.
And Proverbs captures this idea, right? Proverbs
Yeah.
9.9.
Beautifully. It says, "Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will add to their learning." Now, that sounds almost backward at first, doesn't it?
Yeah, you'd think the wise person is done learning.
Exactly. We assume wisdom means you've peaked. But the proverb flips that. It says true wisdom isn't the end point. It's an expanding horizon. The wiser you actually become, the more humble you get, the more open, the more ready for more instruction, not less.
Huh. So wisdom creates more capacity for wisdom.
Precisely. It's not about being a full cup. It's about your cup getting bigger. The truly wise aren't the ones with all the answers. They're the ones who are best at asking the right questions. They're comfortable with how much they don't know.
That fosters constant curiosity then, and agility of mind. Does that track with your own experience? The deeper you go into something, the more you see there is to explore.
Oh, 100%. It's like climbing a mountain. The higher you get, the more you see of the vast landscape still stretching out before you.
Yeah.
It's humbling, but also invigorating. But this idea gets even more powerful when we bring in the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus. He had this crucial observation about our different starting points.
Oh, the Stoics. Always practical. What did he say?
Well, Musonius Rufus pointed out, pretty bluntly, some people are sharp and others dull. Some are raised in a better environment, others in worse.
Okay. Direct.
The latter, having inferior habits and nurture, will require more by way of proof and careful instruction to master these teachings and to be formed by them, in the same way that bodies in a bad state must be given a great deal of care when perfect health is sought.
Wow. So it's not a judgment, is it? It's more like a diagnosis.
Exactly. He's not blaming anyone. He's just acknowledging the reality. People come into the world and move through it with vastly different abilities, upbringings, opportunities. It's just how it is.
Like that marathon analogy you mentioned earlier. Some start ahead, some have better shoes.
Precisely. Some kids just get a head start. Maybe their family instilled great habits, or they had tons of books around. Others, maybe they never even encountered certain basic concepts before facing a challenge that requires them. It's not about fairness, it's about acknowledging the terrain.
So if we take his medical analogy, the doctor treated different patients differently, even for the same goal of health.
Mhm.
How does that apply to us? To how we deal with people,
Mhm.
or even our own learning? Because we often expect everyone to just get it the same way.
And that's where we go wrong. You wouldn't prescribe the same intense chemo to a patient with mild symptoms as you would to someone critically ill, right?
Of course not.
So similarly, when we're talking about intellectual or moral growth, we have to adapt our expectations, our methods. The sources bring up this simple maxim: health results from healthy living.
Okay. Seems obvious for physical health.
But it applies mentally, emotionally, spiritually too. Just like physical health needs consistent patient care, good habits, rest, so does our inner development. And that includes recognizing that different people, different constitutions, need different levels or even types of care and instruction.
You can't force it.
No, real learning, like real healing, has its own rhythm. It's organic. Trying to make someone instantly grasp something when they have huge gaps in their foundation. It's like trying to build a house on sand. It just won't work. You need to build the foundation first.
This really is foundational then. So for you listening, what's the big takeaway here? How does this change things practically?
It's huge because it shifts your entire perspective. Instead of getting frustrated thinking, why are they so slow? Why don't they get it? It's obvious.
Yeah, the internal monologue.
You move towards empathy,
Yeah.
towards a more effective strategy. You start asking, okay, given where they are, what kind of help, what kind of instruction, what kind of environment might actually work for this person?
So less judgment, more strategy.
Exactly. It helps you understand why someone might struggle with something that feels easy to you. You stop judging and start thinking about the specific support they might genuinely need. It lets you approach others and honestly even yourself with way more patience and, frankly, more effective kindness.
Okay, so we've got that foundation.
Hmm.
People start differently. Wisdom means being teachable. Now, building on that, we get to the core framework of this wisdom architecture, and it seems to rest on two really powerful, connected ideas.
That's right. The first is that our advantages, whatever they are, aren't just badges we've earned. They're starting points that actually create responsibility.
And the second.
The second is that being truly helpful and just living effectively means really understanding the limits of our own influence, knowing where our ability to help ends.
Let's unpack that first one. Ryan Holiday talks about this, right? This idea of checking your privilege, but from a stoic angle.
Yeah, he really brings it home. He references the core idea. But not everyone has had the advantages that you've had. Simple enough. Then he pushes it. The more forgiving and tolerant you can be of others, the more you can be aware of your various privileges and advantages, the more helpful and patient you will be.
So the stoic view flips it. It's not about feeling good or bad about privilege.
Exactly. It's not about boasting. It's not about guilt trips. It's a call to action, an assignment, your head start, whether it's education, family support, natural talent, money, whatever. It's not just luck. It carries a moral duty.
The duty to do what?
A duty to understand, to be patient, to offer support to others who maybe didn't have those same breaks. Our sources talk about philosophy as like care of the soul, and just like some bodies need more care to get healthy, some souls, because of their circumstances, just need more compassion, more understanding to really thrive.
Okay, I get the concept, but how does really taking that on board change how you, say, deal with someone you find frustrating at work or even online?
It's a complete shift from judgment to service. That knee-jerk thought, ugh, why are they so slow? Or why aren't they trying harder?
Yeah, we all have those moments.
It shifts to empathetic curiosity. Okay, given their background, what perspective or maybe what resource could I offer that might actually help them here? It makes you see your advantages not as a reason to look down, but as a platform to offer patience, understanding, and maybe some strategic support. Your energy goes from frustration to constructive action.
That's a really different way to operate.
Yeah.
But okay, even with the best intentions, we can't fix everything for everyone. People get burned out trying.
Yeah.
Right. Where's the boundary?
And that's where the framework gets truly practical. It needs balance. It needs that dose of wisdom about our limits. This comes through brilliantly in physical therapist Gray Cook's principle. Only coach what can be coached.
Only coach what can be coached. Sounds simple, but probably isn't.
Deceptively simple. It gives us guardrails for all our good intentions.
So,
Look, we can explain things till we're blue in the face. We can encourage. We can create supportive environments. We can model the behavior.
so you can do a lot.
We can. But what we cannot do is force someone's internal change. We can't control their choices. We can't guarantee they'll succeed. Trying to do that, it's like yelling at the clouds to stop raining. You're just wasting energy on something you can't influence.
Can you give a really solid example of that? Where does coaching stop?
Sure. Think about helping a friend with, say, math homework. Our sources use this one. You can explain the concepts multiple ways. Break it down. Sure. You can sit with them while they study, offer support. You can encourage them when they get stuck, maybe even help them formulate questions for the teacher.
Right. All helpful actions.
Definitely. But what you cannot do is make them pay attention in class. You can't force them to actually sit down and do the homework every night. And you definitely can't take the test for them. Those actions, that internal motivation, the final responsibility, that's theirs alone. Your influence has a clear boundary.
That clarity, it seems like it would lift a huge weight off people's shoulders. What's the practical upside for you listening?
It's incredibly freeing. It lets you focus your energy, your limited emotional bandwidth on what you can actually control. Your own kindness, your effort in offering the right kind of support, your own practice of these principles, how you treat people.
So letting go of the outcome.
Letting go of controlling the outcome for others. By accepting these limits, you release that immense frustration that comes from trying to change things you can't. Whether it's someone else's choices or how quickly they understand something, it's not giving up, it's being strategic, putting your energy where it counts. And it protects you and the person you're trying to help from unrealistic expectations, which often just lead to resentment down the line.
Okay. So, responsible privilege balanced by realistic limits. That's the framework. And you said this leads to a new way of looking at competition.
Exactly. It sets the stage perfectly for rethinking what competition is even for.
All right, so we've got our foundation, different starting points. We've got the framework privilege as responsibility, respecting limits. Now, how does this whole perspective change how we think about something like competition, which is everywhere?
It completely reframes it. The core idea here is a fundamental shift. Viewing competition not just as, trying to beat someone else.
Which is usually how we think of it.
Right. But seeing it more as a powerful tool. A way to assess how well you've prepared, how effectively you used your specific opportunities, your resources, in service of something bigger, a larger purpose.
So competition isn't the goal, it's a diagnostic.
Kinda. Think about the phrase, competition judges preparation. When you filter that through the lens we've built varied starting points, responsible privilege, it takes on a much deeper meaning. It means when you're in any kind of competition, work project, exam, personal fitness goal, whatever, you're not just comparing your final score to someone else's. The real focus shifts inward. It becomes about your effort relative to your abilities and your resources. The question changes from, am I better than them, to, did I genuinely do my best with what I was given?
That's a huge mental shift. Can you make that concrete? Because winning feels, like winning.
Okay, take the spelling test example from the sources. Imagine you study really hard, say 30 minutes every night for a week. You really put in the work, and you get a B+, Sam.
Okay, solid effort.
Now your friend, maybe they're just naturally gifted at spelling. They glance at the list for 10 minutes total, barely try, and they ace it. Get an A.
Right, happens all the time.
So traditionally the A is better, but through this new lens, your B+ might actually be the better outcome for now. Because you maximized your effort. You fully engaged with your potential and your resources. You learned. You grew. Your friend, despite having the advantage, maybe didn't push themselves, didn't use their potential as effectively. Their win didn't reflect the same level of preparation relative to capacity.
That completely reframes success and failure, doesn't it? Makes it internal.
Totally. It makes competition way less stressful. Less about anxiety and comparison, more about your own growth. It frees you from that toxic cycle of constantly measuring yourself against others.
So you can be proud of your effort, even if the outcome isn't first place.
Exactly. And instead of feeling jealous when someone else does well, you can actually learn from them. You can ask, okay, what did they do in their preparation that I could maybe adapt, instead of just feeling inadequate? Their success becomes potential insight, not just a reason to feel bad.
And this connects to that Mazzini quote about life being a mission. How does that fit in?
Giuseppe Mazzini. Yeah, his idea is powerful here. He said, life is a mission. Every other definition of life is false. He argued that everything religion, science, philosophy fundamentally agrees that every existence has an aim, a purpose.
Life is a mission that elevates things.
It really does,
Mhm.
because if life has an inherent purpose, then all our talents, our advantages, our efforts, they stop being just for personal gain or showing off. They become tools, resources for fulfilling that mission.
And what is that mission, according to Mazzini?
He strongly suggests it's about contributing to human flourishing, the common good, something bigger than just ourselves, which ties in beautifully with Stoic ideas too.
So if life's a mission and competition judges our preparation for that mission, what's the implication for success?
The implication is huge. Success only really matters when it serves that larger mission, a win just for yourself, especially if it comes from unearned advantages you didn't use responsibly. It's kind of empty, a missed opportunity to contribute something real.
And Phil.
Failure loses its shame. It becomes data, feedback, information on how you need to prepare better for your mission. It makes you ask, was my preparation really aligned with my purpose, or even, am I competing in the right arena for my specific mission?
So someone might seem to perform poorly, but it's not just lack of effort.
Right. It could be they lacked the right preparation because they didn't have the same advantages. Or maybe they faced internal hurdles. We can't see things that couldn't be coached. Or maybe they're working incredibly hard, but preparing for the wrong competition entirely because they haven't figured out their own mission yet. Their effort is real, but it's just pointed in the wrong direction. Like building a fantastic ladder leaning against the wrong wall.
Wow. So for you listening, this really challenges you to think beyond just what did I achieve?
Definitely. It pushes you to ask the deeper question. How did I use what I was given, my time, my talents, my opportunities, to contribute to something meaningful, something beyond just me? It's about aligning your personal efforts with a purpose that makes a difference, making sure your preparation serves a mission that truly matters to you and, ideally, to the world. So we've climbed up through the foundation and the framework, we've looked at the structure, now we reach the very top, the pinnacle of this wisdom architecture. And it's captured in this really interesting kind of counterintuitive principle. The goal of a coach should be to eliminate the coach.
Eliminate the coach. That sounds like you're trying to put yourself out of a job.
In a way, yes. It represents the highest form of wisdom in action. It's about service that actively aims to create independence in others, not dependence. It's about empowering people to the point where they don't need you anymore.
That requires a lot of humility, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To measure your success by how little you're needed.
An incredible amount. It means you have to consciously shift how you define success. It's not about basking in how much others rely on you. It's about celebrating how capable they become without your constant input. You have to actively fight that ego-driven desire to be indispensable.
The focus becomes entirely on their growth, their autonomy.
Relentlessly. And what's fascinating is how this pinnacle, this self-eliminating service, really only becomes possible when you fully integrated all the pieces we've already talked about.
How so? How do the other parts enable this?
Well, think about it. To effectively empower someone towards independence, you have to understand their unique starting point, right? That's the foundation, knowing what specific guidance they need.
Okay, makes sense.
You must use your own privileges responsibly, seeing your advantages as tools to lift them up, not just to maintain your position above them.
Right.
You have to accept the limits of your influence, knowing that real empowerment comes from building their internal skills, not from controlling them externally.
Got it.
And you must measure your success by how well you've prepared them for their own mission, their own competition, rather than by how much they keep coming back to you for help. It all ties together. It's this complex interplay of understanding, strategy, and ultimately letting go.
How can we make this really concrete? Where do we see this eliminating the coach idea in everyday life?
Yeah.
Like in teaching?
Oh, absolutely. Think about a truly great teacher. They don't just pour information into students' heads. Their real goal is to develop the student's ability to learn independently, to spark curiosity.
So teaching them how to learn, not just what to learn.
Exactly. Showing them how to sound out a word, not just telling them the word. Showing them how to break down a math problem, not just giving the answer. The goal is to give them the tools so they can keep learning long after they've left that classroom. The teacher hopes to become unnecessary for future learning.
And in leadership, it's not about being the boss who knows everything.
Not the best leaders, no. A truly effective leader, in this sense, doesn't just give orders. They invest time and energy in developing their team members, helping them learn to make good decisions, take initiative, solve problems on their own.
So the team can function without them constantly looking over their shoulder.
Precisely. The best sign of their leadership isn't when they're directing every move, but when the team performs brilliantly even when the leader isn't there. They've built capacity within the team, making their own constant intervention less needed. They've worked towards eliminating the need for their minute-to-minute coaching.
And parenting feels like the ultimate example of this, right? The whole goal is to raise independent adults.
It really is. Parents who get this don't just shield their kids from everything. They actively teach them how to navigate the world safely and confidently themselves.
Teaching them to tie their shoes instead of always doing it for them.
Exactly. Allowing for the struggle, the clumsy attempts, guiding them through tough choices by offering frameworks, not just making the decision for them. It's this gradual, sometimes painful process of stepping back as the child grows more competent. The goal is to launch an independent person who doesn't need constant parental coaching.
This really deepens the idea of what it means to truly help someone. It's not just fixing their immediate problem.
No, it's about long-term empowerment. And the satisfaction you get from this, well, it's way deeper than any ego boost from being needed.
How so?
It comes from knowing you contributed to someone else's genuine, lasting growth, their autonomy. You help them stand on their own feet, realize their potential, maybe start pursuing their own mission with confidence. That's the most meaningful kind of help you can offer. It creates ripples of self-sufficiency, not cycles of dependence. It's the pinnacle of wise service.
Okay, so we've built this impressive structure, this architecture of wisdom, reaching all the way to that pinnacle of self-eliminating service. But, even the most amazing building needs upkeep, right? It needs maintenance to stay strong over time.
Absolutely. The architecture of wisdom is no different. It's not a build it and forget it kind of thing. The core idea here is that wise living, the kind we've been describing, just cannot be sustained by willpower alone. You burn out.
Right. You need something more reliable.
You need built-in, consistent rhythms of reflection, of rest, of renewal. Without regular maintenance, even the most solid insights start to erode. The structure weakens.
That Sir Matthew Hale quote comes to mind. A Sunday well spent brings a week of content. It sounds a bit old-fashioned maybe, but it points to this idea of rhythm, doesn't it?
It does, and it's not just about taking a day off, though that helps. It's about establishing purposeful patterns. Because living wisely, understanding different starting points, using privilege responsibly, coaching towards independence, all of that is demanding.
Emotionally draining, mentally taxing.
Totally. It requires constant giving of yourself. You can't sustain that on fumes, on frantic effort alone. You need those built-in patterns that help you step back, restore your perspective, recharge your batteries, and really reconnect with your larger purpose, your mission. It's not a luxury. It's a strategic necessity for staying wise.
That makes so much sense. If you don't have those rhythms, what happens? Even if you have the best intentions.
You burn out. Plain and simple. The person who tries to serve others endlessly without taking care of their own inner well-being. They inevitably become less effective, they get exhausted, maybe resentful, their empathy dries up, their patience wears thin.
So the very service they're trying to provide suffers.
Exactly. It's like trying to pour from an empty cup. You just can't do it for long. This isn't just about avoiding exhaustion, it's about preserving the very source of your wisdom and compassion.
So these maintenance routines are not just self-care, they're wisdom care. They sustain our ability to be wise in the world. What do these rhythms look like in practice?
Think back to that idea. Health results from healthy living. Just like your body needs daily healthy habits. Good food, movement, sleep. Not just occasional crash diets or workout binges.
Right. Consistency is key.
Same goes for your mental, emotional, spiritual health. You need consistent practices. Things like reflection, maybe gratitude journaling, regularly realigning with your deeper values. The sources mention things people do. Scheduling quality time with family, journaling to process thoughts, taking quiet walks in nature, even just sitting silently for a few minutes to check in with yourself.
Like tidying your mental space.
That's a great way to put it. Like regularly cleaning your room makes it easier to live in. Regularly tidying your thoughts and feelings makes everything else work better. It reduces mental clutter, allows for clearer thinking, better decisions.
And this really hammers home that parallel between physical and mental well-being.
It does. Our bodies need consistent care to function well. So do our minds, our emotions, our spirits. If you neglect these inner dimensions, your capacity for wise judgment, for empathy, for sustained effective service just diminishes. These rhythms are the fuel, the cleaning crew, the structural reinforcement that keep your wisdom architecture from crumbling under life's pressures.
So for you listening, this isn't just about relaxation, is it? The relaxation is nice.
No, it's strategic. It's essential for your long-term effectiveness, for your inner calm, for your ability to make good choices consistently. These are the maintenance habits that ensure your wisdom stays robust, resilient, and ready for whatever comes next.
So we built the architecture. We've talked about maintaining it.
Mhm.
But how do we really know if it's holding up? Under the stress of actual life, what's the real test?
The ultimate test, the most rigorous one. It comes down to our capacity for honest, maybe even brutal self-reflection. And importantly, for genuine repentance when we inevitably mess up. We could call it moral accounting.
Moral accounting. I like that. Tolstoy had something to say about this, didn't he? About repentance.
He did, a really powerful thought. Repentance always precedes perfection. It is sad that people think repentance is unnecessary, and Frederick William Robertson added a crucial warning to that.
Which was?
He said, "It is dangerous to see the cause of evil as lying outside ourselves, for then repentance becomes impossible."
Wow. Okay. So if we're always blaming other people or circumstances,
We block our own growth. True wisdom requires this radical humility, the courage to actually look at our own failures, our own mistakes, our own uglier bits. If your default is always, not my fault, or they made me do it, or everyone does it.
you put up a wall.
Exactly, an impenetrable wall to learning. You don't fix the root cause, and because you're avoiding accountability, you basically guarantee you'll make the same mistake again, or maybe even a bigger one next time. The only path towards getting better, towards that perfection Tolstoy mentions, is paved with the courage to face your own flaws.
And to really drive this home, the sources give that incredibly stark example of Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor.
Yeah, it's a profoundly impactful story. Bismarck, this giant historical figure famous for unifying Germany through sheer will and, let's be honest, often ruthless strategy. Late in his life, he confessed this.
What do you say?
"I have a burden on my soul. During all my long life, I did not make anyone happy, neither my friends or my family, nor even myself. I have done many evil things. I was the cause of the beginning of 3 big wars. About 800,000 people were killed because of me on the battlefields, and their mothers, brothers, and widows cried for them, and now this stands between me and God."
That's chilling. Utterly chilling. It just exposes this huge gap that can exist between achieving great things in the world, power, influence, and actual human fulfillment or purpose.
Right. He had immense political success. He literally reshaped a continent. Yet his own soul felt crushed by regret. His failure wasn't a lack of brains or knowledge or privilege. He had all that in spades.
So what was the failure?
It was a catastrophic failure to integrate those advantages into a wisdom framework that served human well-being. He used his power for personal and national gain, focused on domination, always consolidating power instead of empowering others. And it's pretty clear he neglected that vital maintenance of regular moral inventory. He let the consequences pile up without truly reckoning with them.
So connecting it back to our architecture metaphor, his structure lacked that foundation of moral accounting.
Precisely. It crumbled from within. He probably stopped seeing himself as needing to learn, violating the teachability foundation. He used his privilege for dominance, not service. He saw competition as winning, not preparation for a mission of common good. He sought to increase his own power, the opposite of self-eliminating service. And because he skipped the regular, honest, moral reflection, he pursued goals with devastating human costs, seemingly without fully grasping it until the very end. He's a stark warning. External success without internal integrity is ultimately hollow.
It's a warning, definitely. But you said it also offers hope.
Because it shows that genuine repentance, that honest, brave look at how we've fallen short, is always possible, no matter how big the mistakes. It's the essential first step towards making different choices, towards rebuilding. Tolstoy's other point fits here. You should live in such a way that you can confide anything on your mind.
Meaning, live with a clear conscience.
Or at least strive for one. Cultivate an honest inner life, and that honesty can only really come from having the courage to face and own your mistakes. That regular moral accounting, that self-audit, is what keeps the entire architecture sound and true. It's the ultimate stress test. And so, finally, we arrive at the very top, the capstone that completes our architecture of wisdom, and that is the profound, often incredibly difficult act of forgiveness.
Forgiveness. That's a big one.
It is. The core idea here is that the highest, most refined expression of wisdom isn't about being clever or powerful. It's about the ability to respond to hurt, to betrayal, maybe even deep pain, not with an equal measure of harm, but with grace.
Hmm.
And this capacity, it emerges almost naturally when all the other pieces of the wisdom architecture are in place and actively lived.
Mark Twain had that beautiful metaphor for it, right? The
Yeah.
violet.
Yes, just stunning. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it.
Wow.
It's such a powerful image. It's not about weakness, is it? Not just rolling over. It's an act of incredible strength. The violet, even as it's being destroyed, chooses to release something beautiful, something sweet.
So forgiveness isn't about saying the hurt was okay
No.
or pretending it didn't happen.
Not at all. It doesn't mean you condone the act. It doesn't mean you have to be best friends with the person who hurt you. It means you choose to release the burden of anger, of resentment, of bitterness.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, carrying that harms you way more than it ever harms the offender. It's a radical act of freeing yourself.
And you're saying this becomes easier, maybe more natural, when the rest of the wisdom architecture is solid. How does that work?
It really does interlock. Think about it. Forgiveness is easier when you truly understand different starting points, right? You realize the person who hurt you might be dealing with their own deep struggles, their own history, their own disadvantages that you might not even know about.
It gives context, not excuses.
Exactly. Context that can dissolve some of that absolute judgment. Then think about recognizing your own privileges and responsibilities. When you're honest about your own imperfections, the times you've needed patience or a second chance,
It makes it harder to hold on to righteous anger against someone else.
it levels the playing field.
Yeah.
Humility makes grace easier. And then there's acknowledging the limits of your control. You realize you can't force the other person to change or apologize or even understand what they did.
So you focus on what you can control.
Your own response.
Yeah.
Choosing to let go of the resentment internally, releasing the need to control their story or get revenge, that frees up so much energy.
And how does the competition as preparation idea fit?
Well, if you're measuring success by service, by contributing to well-being, rather than by dominating or winning every conflict.
Then winning by holding a grudge doesn't make sense.
Right. You're not trying to win the argument or punish the other person. You're aiming for harmony, even if it's just restoring harmony within yourself first.
And the maintenance, the moral accounting, that must play a huge role too.
Absolutely. If you're regularly practicing reflection, honestly facing your own stuff, clearing out your own emotional clutter, there's just less internal space for bitterness to take root and fester. Compassion becomes a more readily available response.
So forgiveness isn't about being naive or weak. It's actually a sign of profound self-mastery, a reflection of this whole integrated wisdom.
It truly is. It allows you to redirect your energy toward positive things. You start embodying a wisdom that's so deeply internalized it can respond with grace even when directly attacked. It comes from being rooted in something bigger than the immediate hurt, a deep understanding of human fallibility, our interconnectedness, and frankly, the sheer futility of carrying around corrosive anger.
So the violet releases its fragrance not out of weakness, but out of its very nature, its strength.
Exactly. And human forgiveness, at its best, flows from that same kind of place. Not blind optimism, not a lack of boundaries, but from a deep, wise understanding that we're all flawed, we're all learning, we're all trying to figure out this human journey. This capstone completes the architecture, showing a wisdom so integrated it can meet even life's hardest moments with grace. Hashtag outro.
Wow. So we've really journeyed through this whole architecture of wisdom today. We started right down at the foundation, that crucial understanding that we all start from different places, and that real wisdom is about staying teachable, always open to learning more.
Then we built up that framework. Seeing privilege not as a prize, but as a responsibility to serve, and balancing that with the crucial wisdom of knowing our limits, what we can and cannot actually control or coach in others.
And on top of that, we put that structure of competition, rethinking it completely. Not as just beating others, but as this internal gauge, assessing our own preparation and effort towards a bigger, more meaningful mission in life.
And reaching the pinnacle, we explored that idea of self-eliminating service, the ultimate goal of empowering others so much that they actually grow beyond needing our constant help, fostering their independence.
And this whole amazing structure, we realized, needs constant upkeep. That vital maintenance through regular rhythms, deliberate pauses for reflection, for rest, for renewal, to keep us aligned and prevent burnout.
And we saw how its strength is truly tested through that honest moral accounting, that willingness to face our own mistakes. Like in Bismarck's stark confession, it's the integrity check.
And finally, crowning it all, that capstone of forgiveness, that beautiful, strong fragrance the violet releases, an act of inner freedom that flows when all these other pieces are truly working together.
And it's so important to remember this architecture. It's not a finished monument you just look at. It's alive. It's dynamic. It needs constant attention, constant building, constant repair. Wisdom isn't arriving somewhere perfect. It's about the journey, the practice.
Right, that quote you mentioned, the person who thinks they have arrived at wisdom has already begun to lose it. It's about perpetual motion.
Exactly, a lifelong becoming.
So for you listening, what does all this mean? This whole intricate architecture, it's not just about making you feel wiser or more fulfilled, although hopefully it does that too, more deeply. It's about how you become the kind of person who, just by being you, interacting in the world, actually makes the world, well, a little bit better, a bit more compassionate, a bit more understanding.
It's about becoming part of the answer to those huge human questions, isn't it? How do we really learn? How do we serve effectively? How do we find meaning? How do we become fully human?
And the sources suggest these questions aren't separate puzzles. They're all connected. And the answers don't come from just thinking about them, but from the patient, sometimes messy practice of living with attention, with humility, and
with love.
So maybe start small this week. Try noticing when someone you know is struggling. And instead of jumping in with advice, maybe just pause. Ask them, hey, what kind of help would actually work best for you right now? Let them guide you.
Or try this. When you're working on something, really focus just on your effort, your preparation. Try not to compare your results to someone else's. Just celebrate your own process, your own learning.
And maybe just take 5 minutes before bed. Quietly reflect on maybe 3 things that went well that day or 3 things you felt genuinely grateful for. Just start building in that little rhythm of reflection. Because by practicing these things, even in tiny ways, something really cool starts to happen. You start feeling prouder of yourself, not in an arrogant way, but in an authentic way, because you're actively trying to be the best version of you.
Your relationships get stronger, you feel calmer, maybe happier, and you're building this inner resilience, this character that helps you handle whatever life throws at you and helps you contribute something meaningful along the way.
It really is about becoming the person you're meant to be, one carefully placed brick of wisdom at a time.